Good evening, folks. Got another little Bible study I want to share with you. It has some very prophetic application to the things we're going through right now. What I thought I would do was to go to the different sightings and teachings of Jesus when he was post-resurrection. I had never actually done that study, and as I was doing it, the Lord spoke to me and said, this is going to be more prophetic than just expository. So he gave me some things to share with you this morning. So I am going to share with you now this evening. Okay, so we're going to start in Mark chapter 16, excuse me, and we're going to look at verse 9. And verse 9 says, now after he had risen early on the first day of the week, he first appeared to Mary Magdalene, from whom he had cast out 7 demons. Okay, well, this is information for us about the first person he made contact with when he was resurrected. And so it's a woman. Her name is Mary, and he cast 7 demons out of her. So when we start looking at the pictures of what's happening here, the 7 and the woman is going to come in to play very strongly. Okay, now we're going to go to the same thing as talked about in John chapter 20. So we're going to John 20 right now, starting in verse 11. But Mary was standing outside the tomb weeping, and so as she wept, she stooped and looked into the tomb. She beheld 2 angels in white, sitting, one at the head and one at the feet, where the body of Jesus had been lying. And they said to her, Woman, why are you weeping? And she said to them, Because they have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him. Now, when we backed up in the story, we find out that she and other women had come to the tomb to add to the wrappings and the preserving of the body. That would be in the beginning of chapter 20. And so that's what that's what their purpose was, and she was with other women. But this is Jesus is now talking to her. So in verse 14, when she had said this, she turned around and beheld Jesus standing there, and did not know that it was Jesus. And so Jesus said to her, Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you seeking? Supposing him to be the gardener, she said to him, Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away. So she's asking a pretty grand thing. If he's put somewhere, she thinks she's going to pick him up and carry him somewhere, which was not very likely. And then Jesus said to her, Mary. She turned and said to him in Hebrew, Rabboni, which means teacher. Jesus said to her, Stop clinging to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father, but go to my brethren and say to them, I ascend to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God. Mary Magdalene came, announcing to the disciples, I have seen the Lord, and that he had said these things to her. Okay, so that's the story, and we can pull a few things out, obviously, that are face value in the text. Jesus has now commissioned a woman to deliver a message, and the message is going to go to the disciples. And so that is the first time in Scripture that Jesus has given a task to a woman of a spiritual nature. Okay, she's supposed to deliver a very exact message about a very exact thing. And so now we're going to look at this in kind of a prophetic thing. So this is what the Lord told me. She says, Mary's the woman, and the woman prophetically speaks of, could be the Israel in the Old Testament. It speaks of the church in the New Testament. And so Jesus is appearing to the church, and now he's going to make a request that the church become a messenger. Well, the word messenger in the Greek is the word angel. We use the word angel, and we think of something else. We always think heavenly being. But in Greek, it did not always signify a heavenly being. The angel is a messenger. So when we see in Revelation that there's a message for the messenger, for the angel of, say, the city Sardis, it could very well be a person who's going to carry a letter that says everything that was said in that Revelation passage to them. So that could be exactly what he was talking about, according to the language. There's nothing there that says really anything different. There's maybe some allusions, but nothing that says distinctly that it's not a human messenger and it's not a heavenly person, a spiritual creature. So we have here Mary acting as an angel, or Mary as a woman acting as a church. Now the word seven with 7 demons is now attached to her name because it said there she's the woman out of whom they cast out 7 demons. Well, demons represent the dark world, and in Ephesians it says we've been transferred from the kingdom of darkness into the kingdom of light. So our faith, our salvation, our experience that we're experiencing transfer us from the kingdom of darkness into the kingdom of light. Well, she did this in a very dramatic fashion with the number 7. Now, this number 7 with a woman representing a church, what does that point us to? It points us immediately to the first part of Revelation, the passages to the 7 churches. And so from 7 to 7 would mean a person who's perfectly filled with darkness now is perfectly filled with light. 7 is a number of perfection and completion. So we see this, the number 7 associated with her. Again, it points to the church. Okay, so what's the message? What is the message? The message is, I ascend. I ascend to my Father and to your Father, to my God and your God. And at the moment that he gave her the message, he said, I have not yet ascended. And so he's thinking, well, of course, Jesus, he doesn't make any mistakes. So he's saying to her right now, I have not ascended. Stop clinging to me, for I have not yet ascended. But by the time she gets to the disciples, she is to say, I ascend. Well, that's present tense. We were talking about future tense, and now we're talking present tense. So the time thing is very important here. I'm going to prepare the next lesson and talk about what he could have done, or what he most likely has done between the time he told her the message and by the time she arrived to tell the disciples. Okay, so that's the prophetic thing. Let me just look at my notes. Looks like I got it all. Well, God bless you, and we'll talk to you later.